Welcome back to YellowCard Vanguard. I'm your host, Toku, from It's Toku TV on Twitch. It has been a long while, and Clan Collection 5 and 6 have already been out for quite some time, but I figured this is going to be a mainstay of the channel, so I've taken some time out of my failing job search to give you, the viewers, what you want. My based Red-Pilled and Replica takes on the new cards and supports for Clan Collections 5 and 6. Once again, we need to preface the video as well as the rest of the series by letting you know that these lists are made at face value using my skills of card evaluation. They will need playtesting to fine-tune, but I hope they will serve as a good reference point for filthy net deckers to piggyback off of. Welcome back to Clan Collection Cores. Americans must be influenced the card design over at Bushiroad because this set of Great Nature supports bring us School, Punisher, Leopald Reversed, and the two Fox Scientists. Let's see if this is the Shori no Hosoku that was needed to be Kimatta for the future of Great Nature builds. That was a Kamen Rider reference. Anyways, we've got our first of the 3 new cards for Great Nature, and this is support to an old archetype in Leopald. School, Punisher, American, Leopald. As the Vanguard, once per turn, lock a Leopald named Rearguard, and until the end of turn, cards discarded from your deck get the normal trigger in order type. Once per turn, you can counterblast 1 and mill the top card of your deck, and perform all of the following according to its card type in any order. If it's a normal unit, you can check top 5 and superior call up to 2 units. If it's a triggered unit until end of turn, we gain the red text that all of our front row units gain 5k and Leo Reverse gains a crit. And finally, an order, gain an imaginary gift Axel. So let's break this down. Assuming you've locked another Leopald this turn, for 1 counterblast, you get an Axel, a superior call 2, and a permanent 5k front row buff. This is another counterblast 1+3 card. Leopold's eating good today. As for the first effect, cards discarding from deck get treated as all type. Don't be mistaken, this is not the same as Isabel, where you can perform both instead of choosing. Here, you get free choice on which mill effect you want, but treating the cards you've milled does have some cool implications with the 2 upcoming cards. Magic Scientist, Tester Fox, and Illusion Scientist, Researcher Fox. Tester Fox. When placed on V or R, you can counterblast 1 and return any 2 cards from drop to the bottom of your deck, and it gains 5k for the turn. If you put a normal and a trigger back, you can search your deck for up to 1 Researcher and call it to Rear Circle. Also on the Vanguard Rearguard, you can Soul Blast 1 and choose one of your rearguards. It gains 10k until end of turn, and at the end of that turn, retire that unit, and if you retire Researcher Fox, draw a card. The second part of this duo, Researcher Fox. While on an Axel Circle, when a card is milled from the deck, Researcher gains 5k until end of turn. And when retired from Rear Circle by your card effect, you can counterblast 1 and search for the same card as your Vanguard from your deck. Altogether, I really like the Tester Fox and Researcher Fox pair. I would be inclined to call it peak design with respect to Clan Collection. This is a set of cards which helps the Leopald Reverse deck, it helps Isabel, and it helps Big Belly. It synergizes with all the aforementioned archetypes and probably even more too. Be careful though, Tester Fox has the text, when this unit is placed and not when placed. If you were to pair it with Isabel, you wouldn't be able to spam Tester Fox. Speaking of, there's a really cool synergy between Tester Fox and Leo R, and that is Tester Fox would be able to send 2 triggers back for its effect. If one of the triggers you sent back were milled this turn, that you use Leo R's lock skill, since it would also be treated as a normal unit. So if you want to force more fronts back in, and you know you still have a Researcher in deck, this is a great way to get more trigger compression. Let's take a look at the Shori no Hosoku that I've built for this Clan Collection for Great Nature. So here, we can talk about the weighting image first. You can see that we are focused on fronts, and that's because it's not out of the ordinary to get at least 4 Axels a game, and we're usually swinging Vanguard first to force PGs out due to his inherent crit. So these front triggers will scale very quickly throughout the game. Through the copious amounts of mill and trigger recycling between the Leopald engine, Great Nature engine, and the Fox engine, we look to thin our deck to the point where we can guarantee the front triggers, almost similarly to how Silver Thorns would play. If 17k to 37k crit Vanguard can end the game, hopefully 5 to 6 extra attacks upwards of 30k can help. In our Grade 3 lineup, we run a full playset of our main Vanguard, Leopald Reverse, but only 3 copies of Vanilla Leo. We also run 4 copies of Tester Fox. This is our sub-engine to get our strong attackers onto the board, being Researcher and itself, I suppose. Seeing Tester Fox off of Leo R's superior call skill feels so good. Speaking of, we also run that full playset of Researcher Fox. Researcher Fox is the unit we want to target with Tester Fox's Animal Experimentation Soul Blast buff, because when it inevitably meets its doom at the end of the turn, we get a draw, but we also get to use her own second skill to find a second copy of Leo R for the reride. Because the 5k buff isn't once per turn, we have some other sources of mills, it could get really big rather quickly. We also run a triplet of Binoculus Tiger and a triplet of Blusher Parakeet. Binoculus Tiger in conjunction with Leo R, although costing a counterblast, can give certain units the 5k buff required to break through certain thresholds, but being guaranteed to retire key back row pieces or interceptors can come up big sometimes as well. As for Blusher Parakeet, because of how reliant we are on having Leo R and an extra Leo name in hand going into a grade 3 turn, having more ways of searching grade 3s is important. Generally, despite being only at 3 copies, Parakeet is my ideal ride, and we cut 1 copy of it because it doesn't do too much on the rear. Disappearing at the end of turn, we use its effect, or just being vanilla, I think we would rather see Binoculus or Researcher on the rear there. Now in our grade 1 line, 4 copies of Mini Belly. It's a similar philosophy to running Parakeet. We want to find a pair of Leos going into grade 3, so grade 3 Searchers just make the most sense. We also run a full playset of Afflated Lemur, our countercharge engine. As you can see, between Binoculus, Researcher, Tester, and Leo R, we do counterblast a lot in this deck, so we want to be able to get all of the countercharge we need. That's why, alongside Lemur, we run a playset of Scale Toucan, which is effectively our 5th to 8th copy of Afflated Lemur for when we need more counterblast to use. We can bounce it back and recall Lemur. We can also rebounce and once again reuse Tester Fox to cycle more triggers back into the deck and get Research Fox onto the board if need be. Scale Toucan does a lot for us in this deck. And as for the triggers, we already know it's going to be 8 fronts, 4 draws, and 4 Hellion. The Hellions are here not for their defensive power, but because some savvy players will try to do damage deny as much as possible because of how impactful that 1 counterblast is for Leo R. In which case, -1 from hand to slam down the Hellion for the +3 off of the counterblast is much too valuable. So some other options that could be ran. I really like Geograph Giant in testing as well. 17k on an Axel marker, and then 5k extra from that Axel too, but another 5k to hit 27k from Leo R skill. That's a magic number against Axel and Protect, but the fact that it stays 17k on your opponent's turn as well makes it a sticky attacker. I've also tinkered with the Homske grade 1 and grade 2 ride package to ensure that opening Homske ensures your grade 2 ride and lets you mull harder for the grade 3s, namely a pair of Leopald. There's also a really high roll build that uses Hamdon and Culture Gorilla for a big OTK turn, making use of the extra 5k we get from Leo R and the extra Axel we get so that Hamdon is on a turn early, but I don't think it's better than the Fox variant. In any case, I think this is the way for Great Nature to go in the future. I appreciate that we don't need to have base Leopald to be able to use Leo R, but it really would help the consistency of it. A pair of Leopald reverses in the grip does it too, so the entry point for this deck is quite easy. I think Counterblast 1 plus 3 will be what defines this deck to be the mainstay representative of Great Nature. It's a lot of hand being built and a lot of late game scaling that could be what is needed to win in the long term. In any case, that's it from me for this episode of Clan Collection Cores. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more content like this and leave a comment down below because every little bit helps the channel. This has been Toku from YellowCard Vanguard. Toku out.